All right, welcome back one more time on this Mustang. What are we doing today? So Jimmy was here. He dropped off some more parts. We're waiting on fittings and hoses from Racetronics. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, we're going to do the front brakes. He's got strange brakes, you saw. We're going to take the wheels off. We're going to get the front brakes done. We're going to get the tie rods all set up and get it where the wheels are pointing straight so we can move this thing into the other room. But at least the brakes will be done. All right?
All right, so we got some new parts in.
A lot of new parts.
Jimmy came down, brought us some new stuff. How you liking the car coming out? Watching the videos?
It's coming along real nice. I like to say, you guys take time in what you do.
Thank you.
It's not just thrown together just to get it done.
No.
So I'm trying to keep feeding you guys with parts. The brakes, we got a whole bunch of brake stuff. Master cylinder, the whole strange
cool.
kit. Yeah, I was these things took forever to come, but super excited about these calipers. Strange.
Nice.
I know you guys been working on those, put them on the Nova and everything.
Yep. Strange stuff. So we got actual brake pedals set up now, so we can use this in the car. Because the car was originally a stick, so the pedal that was in it had, was with the clutch and everything. So now we got one of those. So we're still gonna kind of maybe modify this so that we can make everything work, but at least we have a stock placement. We can bolt it in, and then we can adjust whatever we gotta do with the arms. So
and two of these just adjustable. Cut them as you need. Then they have all the. There's the part number on that.
Yeah, so people are asking for part numbers as we're going, so you can show them that.
This is the overflow tank for the coolant that I ended up going with.
Nice.
I don't know the part number on this one.
So we'll figure it out. It's a Moroso, so.
Just a regular Moroso.
Nice.
Valve at the bottom.
So he decided to get the front bumper support off the front, so we'll be able to mount that up front someplace so you can drain it.
Yeah, I'll show that what we're gonna do then.
Try to cut as much weight as possible. And then this is the mounting bracket for that with the part number.
Okay, cool. Mounting bracket, yeah. So got some of that stuff. And then we're waiting for our fuel lines are coming in and stuff like that. And so this is the whole brake kit. Okay.
Would you get Strange?
Yep, Strange brake kit.
Now this is for that car particular. That is, so it has all the brackets and everything. Oh yeah. Oh, those are. Believe it or not, they use that same caliper for all of them, right?
Yeah.
It's unless you get a single, the spindle mounted deal, but that caliper is the front, the back, they're all the same. The only thing that's really different is all the bracketry and stuff. And then they use different brake pads. They have a different material for different things like road racing, drag racing, that kind of thing.
And then I also got these are the forged aluminum hubs as well.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be different, obviously.
Yeah, but then they have all the hardware and stuff is in a box at the bottom.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I hope you guys are set for a while. They can start recouping some money.
We'll be set for a couple of days. So we'll have all this shit done in a couple of days. So, well, that's why I said once you bring it. So now we could do all the brake stuff, hopefully in a day, get the wheels aligned. Now the car will be able to roll back and forth.
Yeah, not one wheel pointing.
Pain in the ass.
I'm.
We're gonna bring it back in here, and then I'm gonna do the pedal and all that.
Yeah, we can do all that on the floor. So.
And then whenever you decide whatever you're doing with the rear, then we'll run the brake lines to the rear. So everything from the brake master cylinder forward, we'll do all that one shot. So that'll be done.
So I guess now I'll work on roll cage. We'll get you guys a roll cage.
Working on a cage.
Tom sent us one we got to look into.
Another company. I actually called them up, but I didn't get a response yet.
What company is that?
I'm not gonna even say them.
But
we're probably not gonna use them, but I'm not gonna say what the name.
We're looking at a couple of different ones, so we'll figure out
right,
what we're
right
gonna
now,
use.
we're working on one that we already know is gonna work and fit.
And
Another one supposedly fits even better, but until I talk to them in person, I'm not gonna. Once I talk to them in person, I'll feel them out and ask them particular questions because everybody says the roll bar fits, and then
we've had that happen before.
Yeah.
But
it fits. Yeah, it fits in the car, but it's this far away from you know, from everything, and you don't want that.
But
So.
even what the one company said with it fits with the interior.
With the interior. So now if
Right.
there's no interior,
Now you
it's
got a
already
gap
got a
around
gap
it.
Yep.
with the interior. So now if there's no interior, now you're looking at a big gap, and then it starts to look stupid.
Yeah.
You know.
So we'll figure out when we get the cage. Then we'll
Once we
then
get
we'll
the
let you know.
cage, then we'll show you what it is, when put it in, and then we'll give you a good review of if it's any good.
So here, I'll show 'em.
Yeah,
So we're gonna take the front bumper bar here. That's basically your crash bar. This is gonna come off, and then we're gonna get a couple of the different obviously fittings for that. So that's gonna come off now. So however, I gotta take this off. Couple bolts on here. Take as much weight out of it as possible. Okay. So that's where we're at right now.
Well, he's got no brakes on this now. The only thing that was on here was a rotor. So he had already taken all this apart. So I'm just going to take the hubs off, and then we'll show you how to install a set of front brakes on these. There's nothing to take apart really except for this stuff. All right. I think it uses all the same spindle. I'll find out when I take the box apart. The other thing we're doing is we're taking this front bumper off, and then we're probably going to end up just making a little strap or something to hold the front of the bumper from sagging. All right. Got one more? Should be it.
Yeah, it's probably just stuck on there.
Yeah. I got to put the phone down. Alright, so this cap, put a little chisel behind it and then just pry that off. This is a 36 locking nut. There's no tapered bearings or nothing. This is a locking deal. Right, like that. That's basically one big flat nut. It's got a locking cage on it so it locks itself. And this just slides off. Okay, that's all sealed. It's like a hub. And this is the new hub from Strange. Okay. This will be the part number. Okay. We need to install the studs on it. And then that'll go right on. Just like that. We'll put the studs on it first. So they give you the studs. You got a washer. You put the studs on. You're gonna run the stud. I'll show you, but all the way through, and then when there's So when you run the stud, you run it all the way down till about there's like 3 or 4 threads left, and then just put a drop of Loctite on them. All right, so let me get all these ready and I'll show you. All right, so we got the studs mounted to that. These are the brackets that go with it. You take off all these bolts, 10 millimeter. That's what held that. I'm assuming, I'm pretty sure that was just for the shield, the round shield that was on here. So we're taking the shield off, or the bolts for the shield off. And then this bracket is gonna sit. Here's the part numbers for the bracket. You're buying this as a kit anyway if you're doing this, but, and then this just sits on there. This one is, I think this is the other side, so. This is the other side, I believe. You got one more bolt you gotta take out. You got another bolt on top you gotta take out. All right, and then we'll show you how it's put together. All right, so got them little bolts out. This mounts like this. You got one of these that goes through here. It uses the original bracket, right? With a locking nut on the back of it. Then you got a hub. Hub sits just like that against it. They give you a locking nut. So you're going to replace that nut with this nut that they give you. Okay, that's going to get tightened down. And then you have this I kind of not like, but whatever. This thing must be a design for this. It uses a freaking snap ring to hold the two pieces of the two rotor together. So it's a two-piece rotor. Usually these are one piece, or the two-piece ones are bolted together. This is just using a snap ring and some clips, like a slotted deal. That's going to go on there. That one faces that way like that. And then the caliper goes on. So let me tighten this up. I'm going to look it up and see what the torque spec on that's supposed to be on their website. And then we'll go from there. All right. That's an 18 millimeter back there. Allen head bolt. 18 millimeter. So I tighten this down because then once we put all this caliper and stuff on here, he ain't gonna be able to get to it. And then we got to shim the bottom, but we'll figure that out after we get all this together. So that goes on like that. Now they give you a shim pack. So you're gonna put the caliper on, and then the way I do it is I put 2 nuts on here to tighten this. So this is it, you know, where it's gonna be. Put the caliper on, and you need to center the rotor in the caliper. So it needs to be centered in that caliper, and they give you all these little shims to do that. All right, so you got the rotor on. You're just gonna put 2 nuts on here to bottom the rotor out, so you know that like the wheel's tight. You got 3/8 fine thread bolts with black washers. Put them on. No shims. Let's start with no shims. And as you could see, it's centered right to the T. Perfect. So you don't have to worry about nothing. Sometimes they sit a little bit farther in or farther out. You use the shims. You could put the shims on the inside or the outside of this spot right here. Right there. This doesn't need anything. Okay? That's just like an alignment shim. So now you know that fits. Okay? And you're going to take this nut off right here. Take this little spacer out of here. See if I can do this with one hand. All right. You're going to get your pads. Put one on each side. These are, you got these little stainless steel deals so they don't stick. Really nice. Let me go get a set of pads and put them in here. All right. So they just slide in. Don't put them all the way in because you got to get this little tube bushing, whatever you want to call this thing, in here. Slide that in between the 2 pads like that, and then put the pads all the way down and in, and that'll make them center like that, right? And then you got the bolt that goes through, locking nut on the floor, locking nut. See if I can do that with that. Yeah. All right. A locking nut, 7/16, a little Allen wrench right there. Tighten that up, and then I'll show you what to do next. So once you tighten that locking nut down, that locks this pin, but these float. Okay, so you know they're good. Now you could see, like if I spread that, all right, you could tell it's got the same amount on both sides, which is nice. Okay, that's what you want. You don't want these to be tight. That's that. Now you got a fitting, right? So these have a bleeder on top and bottom, so that you could actually put them on either side. And then they have a fitting that goes there for your number 4 line. Okay, so I'm gonna put some Teflon tape on this. Stick that in there, and then we'll get the line when we're doing the brake lines and the brake line kit and stuff. So this actually goes inside there, like that. Okay? All right, Teflon tape, 7/16, tighten that. This nut, 200 foot-pounds. And then they give you a cap. Nice billet cap with O-rings. They just snap in place. I would suggest you put a little bit of anti-seize or a little bit of oil or something on this rubber seal, okay? Because you'll never get them off if you don't. So I'm gonna do that now. Put that on. This side's done, and then I'm gonna go do the other side. All right, like I said, that just snaps in. You'll just feel it snap in. It bottoms out. All right, so that side's all done. All set. I'm gonna go do the other side. I'll put you on time lapse real quick and show you the other side before I get involved with this side. So same thing. I'm gonna take all this stuff apart. I just wanted to tell you something before I forget. So just because you didn't need any shims on one side doesn't matter. You still got to check it because it might need shims on this side. Okay, so you always got to make sure one side. That's why they give you shims, because you don't know what you're getting. One side to the other might be different. And then we're going to take these little screws and little bolts all out of there. All right. Okie dokie, all done. This side's all together. Everything's all nice and tight. That's torqued down. You put a little tape on that fitting so nothing gets in there. And once we get this in the other room, then we'll be able to hook the master cylinder and all that other stuff up. This actually needs to go about right there. So we got to get spacers for that. I gotta see what he did with those. Alright, so that's your strange front brakes. 07 body style Mustang. So we're tightening up the rack. Got it where we want it. We're gonna set up the bump steer. Okay, we got a bunch of shims for the bump steer. That one's gonna go there. What you want is you want it same parallel as the lower control arm. All right, and that'll give it the least amount of bump steer. So we're gonna put this shim on, put the rest of the shims on the bottom, tighten all this up, and then we'll be able to set the toe in, toe out. All right, so put the rack where you want it. Obviously, we centered the rack, right, to that and that, right? That's centered there to there. We got it as far over as we could possibly get it, right? So this doesn't go any further in than that. So that's where we got that. Then we made that turn all the way one way, all the way the other way. Count how many turns, go back half. And then with the wheel as straight as I could get it right now, right, aligned with the back, we're right there with that, and right there with that. So that's as close as that's going to get. Okay. And now we know how far we could put that and that. Put the tie rod end on and look at that to see if we even have enough room, which we don't. So you can see what the problem is already. Okay, bottoming out. So what happens is, so this would go here, right? Can't do that. it's got to have this in between to adjust it, obviously, and hold them together. So we're gonna cut this. Just cut this off. Take about a ½ an inch off of that, so that we're close. All right. And we'll take about a ½ an inch off. Maybe even a little bit more. Whatever. ½ inch should be plenty. And then you got enough adjustment for left and right. Same thing on this side. So this side, right, should be the same thing. Yes, sir. Same thing. So it's got to come off. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. Take about a ½ inch off on each side. ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch off each side, because the wheel is basically straight where it is. So once it's up in the air, we'll let it down, and then we'll be able to do an alignment, put the tables down, and set it up. All right, so we determined how much we're going to take off. So we're going to run a nut on here, get the whiz wheel, cut with the disc, just cut that off, and then you'll be able to run the nut back off it and clean it, taper it off, and make sure it goes all off. All right.
Alright, so right now we're cutting these back. Because they're, too long when you put the... Explain what we did.
So we went to pick up these jam nuts. They're metric. Now when you put, so this is the spacer that we're going to use for the bump steer. All right, so it would sit, this wheel sits right like that. Right?
And when you put the knuckle on it.
So now we got plenty of room, obviously.
They make them longer.
It's pretty much going to sit right there, so you're good. And then you got fine adjustment there's plenty, and then you'll be able to lock that and lock that.
Okay. They come longer on purpose because you don't know what you're putting it in and different things.
Well,
so
it doesn't use this is the thing.
Right.
So this would have been like a manual rack for.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I don't know. I mean,
well, ours is like
tie rod ends.
Right, ours is like that.
Yeah, well,
we don't, without that.
Without this thing, yeah.
You would just adjust this.
Depends. They're all different. They're all different. All right, so now what we're gonna do is take this tape off. Yeah, you put that on there good, buddy.
Well, I didn't. I probably just touched it here.
I got more.
You melted it a little.
Yes. So take the tape off.
This one should be fine. I can take this one right off.
Take that one off. And then it's two different sizes to boot. So that'll go right on now, right? We'll run the jam nut off it, clean it up. Make sure it comes off nice and clean.
You can leave it like right there.
All right. And then that both at the same time because they're so. Let me get a little bit of anti-seize on this. All right.
Yep.
Like that. And then
Just gonna eyeball it right now, so. Because he's also gonna be getting later on new different struts for it.
well, you could do that later. Whoop. So
Just get it to steer without one wheel dragging.
all right.
So
So
we can push it.
leave it like that for now.
Okay. Do the same thing to the other side.
All right, that's close enough. Same thing over there.
Alright, we'll get this one on and everything. That'll be it. Okay. Yep. Close enough for right
Look how
now.
much this one is like this compared to this one. Is pretty much straight. See it?
Yeah, hanging. Yeah. A little bit, I guess. It's not crazy, but I mean that'll all get fine adjusted
Yep.
once
All right.
we get the other, the skinny front tires on it and everything else. All right. Now we can figure out what line we need.
Now we gotta get line. Well, we'll do that when we get it in there.
Okay.
All right. All right. So the studs are longer, so we just used open end.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nice. It didn't even. So now the bump steer thing, we could just check that again.
because these ones are gonna bottom out on it, so just got some open ones on it right now.
That looks pretty good actually. So
Yep. Okay.
all right, close enough. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tomorrow it'll be in the other room. We'll be working on it in there.